Like I said, this is going to be it's informal. It's kind of like how tribals, there's questions and then a new question kind of spawns out of something you say. That's going to be the way I'm going to do my best to orchestrate this. I might jump back and forth, but that's essentially how it works. If you would like to start with anything in particular, you can. Otherwise, I can just throw a simple prompt at you to get this going.
Nah, you can throw anything at me. I'm
All
ready.
right. Well, the simple one, which can be talked about, is welcome to the merge. Top 10. 6 people have been out. It's been a long ride, at least from where I've been sitting, even though it isn't even half of the people. Uh, you're in the merge now. How do you feel about where you're at, the strategy you've used so far, who you trust, who you don't? Just what's kind of a general overall feel so far?
Um, I feel as though I'm kind of in the middle, which is a good place to be usually in Survivor. I have Wyatt, who's kind of been my right hand man through it all. I know I can trust him, and then Aiden has kind of also been kind of like a low key right hand man as well because at first he blindsided us. He got Aiden out with that, or he got Cameron out with that idle play. And we thought, oh, this guy's going to gun for us next. But then he comes and says, hey, I want to work with you guys. And then he says, hey, I have this idol. I found another one. He gave it to Wyatt, which was a way to get trust. So it's hard to understand if he's really working with me or not, which that's why I'm looking forward to the double tribal tonight because the first tribal will give me all the answers I need. But yeah, I know there's a group of 3 in Scott, AB, and Hunter. I know Macy, Xander, and Wyatt are another 3 that I can roll with. So I have many options, and I'm excited to see, what happens tonight.
So there's a few things I want to ask about with everything you just said, but I'm going to start going as far back as we can, which was, and I know you made a confessional about it, but the Aiden idol play blindside on Cameron. I could see your face that night at Tribal. Obviously, I know who was going home, but like suspense is there. It could have been you. It could have been Cameron. It could have been Wyatt. Do you feel like Aiden had any of you in mind, or do you think it was genuinely Cameron is the one I want out?
I think he told me that it could have been any of the 3 of us, but that he did want to work with me the most. I don't know if that was just kissing my butt to try and get me to work with him, but Cameron obviously was playing the hardest game out of the 3 of us. Me and Wyatt knew that we'd eventually have to take him out because of how hard he was playing. I mean, he was on Zoom calls with literally anybody he can get his hands on for hours, and we knew he'd be a threat. So it made sense to get rid of Cameron, but it really could have been any 3 of us.
Yeah, and so looking toward Cameron and his gameplay and him being a partner that you and Wyatt had, you guys, you 3 were in an alliance group chat together. You were in another one with a 4th person, and you guys were all together. You 3. Was Cameron someone that you felt like, I don't know, you mentioned it, that you could have taken out yourself, and so now Aiden doing it was less dirty work for you? Is that kind of how you felt afterward? A little betrayed, but it was kind of a little bit of relief also.
Yeah, I had 2 thoughts. The first one was, wow, I don't have to worry about getting rid of Cameron anymore. And then the second one was, crap, Cameron didn't make the jury. There goes a possible vote for me. And so those were the 2 thoughts that really came into my mind when he got blindsided.
Well, that brings us to another facet of this game, which is so important, and that's jury management. There's so many ways to outplay, outwit, and outlast in this game, but you have to keep in mind that the only way to win, you have to get votes from everybody that you voted out. Is jury management something that you worked on pre-merge or pre-swap? And if not, is it something that you're now very cognizant of that you need to work on now that the merge is here?
It's always been something that's in the back of my head for sure, because I've seen great players lose at the end because they screwed everybody over. And so I'm trying to make it my goal to have some kind of connection with everybody. And I've really done that through getting to know them personally. I'll say, hey, we can talk about gameplay when it's tribal. Let's get to know each other. And so that's kind of been the goal that I've been setting for myself pre-merge and recently when we merged.
And so this idea of socialization, getting to know somebody, as opposed to just straightforward gameplay talk, which are 2 completely different strategies, and there's been winners in Real Survivor with both. someone who's been a genuine human being to people, and someone who's been completely strategic. Would you say that it's possible that you can be 100% strategic in being 100% genuine?
I think it's possible, but it's very unlikely because it's very hard to develop a relationship with everybody because you're going to have to get rid of people. There's only going to be two or three sitting at the end. So eventually, someone that you built a relationship with is going to get voted out. I mean, you can try your best to say, hey, I didn't have any part of this, but it's very hard to pull off, in my opinion.
Yeah, and also on another coin, you have jury management, which it is hard to have no burned bridges. I mean, sometimes in order to have no burned bridges, you have to be a goat, which isn't anyone's goal. You want,
Right.
I mean, unless that's your strategy. The other thing is resume building, which there's so many ways to do that. You can build a resume through socialization. You can build a resume through winning challenges, and Virtual Survivor has a different spin on that. And you can have build a resume through big moves, which one could say that idle play successfully are big moves, or lying and cheating and stealing are big moves. What's an ideal resume being built look like for you?
I definitely want to come into this. I don't know if I'll necessarily begin with it, but I want to win challenges. The first three challenges that we had, the one that I sat out, we lost. I felt like, I was like, crap, I could have been a part of that. But I definitely want to win challenges. I do want to find an idol. I think I can find one if I really want to set aside some time and just dig through some Instagram pages. Um, yeah, and also just building relationships. I feel like saying that I was close with everybody, and yet, I got away with getting rid of people that I had relationships with. I think that's a big way to build a resume as well.
Absolutely. You just mentioned some idols. It's a very having a hidden immunity idol in this game is a blessing and a curse because you don't know when to play it, and leaving with an immunity idol feels worse than leaving without one. It's something, and if people know about it, it's a target on your back, but it can also be used for trust. A hidden immunity idol is something that's so intricate in a game like Survivor, knowing that they're potentially well. So you know about Aiden's idol that he found already. So you know that there is either one or two left out there, or one or two that have been found, or any combination in between. Does that how does that make you think regarding other people who might have them, or the fact that no one has them and they're still out there?
It's definitely a confusing thing because if somebody has them and you spend 2 hours looking through Instagram, you're going to feel drained and you're going to be very annoyed. But at the same time, you you want to make sure that you're making the right moves because of idle plays. I've told Wyatt many times he wants this certain person gone. I'm like, dude, we got screwed over trying to do the same thing two tribal councils ago. So we gotta think. We gotta figure out what's the best way. We should target somebody that they're not gonna think we're gonna target, just in case somebody does have an idol and they can flush it.
Yeah, and it's idols are something you always have to be aware of, whether you know someone has them or not. You know of one person who has them, and you're able to structure your strategy around that. Let's talk about if there's a chance in this game that you actually find one. Is that something that you use to build trust, or do you keep it to yourself, or is there a middle ground where you wait a little bit and then tell somebody, or how does an idol look like if it's in your hands?
I think if I find an idol, I'm definitely going to keep it to myself at first. It's something that I don't want to cause much attention, to put a target on my back, to have. I mean, because I've seen what's happened when Aiden's, said, I got this idol. I mean, Wyatt has been constantly talking about it. Wyatt has been constantly saying, let me borrow it. Let me borrow it. Let me get some trust. And so I don't want to have those conversations. I want to keep it to myself. If a situation comes up where they're like, hey, we should split the votes just in case somebody has an idol, I can be like, I have the idol, we're fine, or something in that kind of situation.
Yeah. The problem you always run in there is there's going to be three idols at play 100% after this challenge. When it was announced yesterday, the third merge idol was going to be hidden anytime then until before the challenge starts. So for sure, after this challenge today, there are three idols in play. So even if you have one, it's still a risky move because you can assure people, don't worry, I have one, but there's still two more out there potentially. So how do you combat that? If you pull out an idol after having it for 3 or 4 days, or challenges or tribals or whatever, is that something you're worried that you could lose Wyatt's trust or another ally's trust?
I think knowing that there's 3 idols out there might change what I honestly just said. I might just keep the idol to myself now because I mean, obviously, you can say something like, "Hey, we don't need to split the votes. I have the idol," but that's not going to work if, like you said, there's two idols out there. So maybe that's just something I keep for myself, something that I keep myself secure in. Because at the end of the day, I want to win. I don't want somebody else to win, regardless of what I say to them. I want to win the game, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get myself farther. And you know, playing an idol for myself could even save me from having some dirty hands and some dirty votes.
So let's you just mentioned about getting to the end no matter what. We talked about idols, we talked about a pre-swap, how you felt about losing Cameron. And jury management, we touched on that a bit, but the end game of Survivor is sitting in the final three and winning. There's a lot of things that we can talk about regarding how you get there and what it looks like. Let's just start with something simple. Disregarding all relationships you have, what does your ideal final three look like out of the other 9 players you have where you think you have the best chance of winning?
I would definitely say keeping Jenna is always on my mind because as good as she may be or as cool as she may be, she's always busy and she hasn't had the opportunities to build relationships. She shows up for tribal council, throws a vote down, and then is missing in action for the other 23 hours of the day. So she's definitely someone that I want to sit with as of right now. I mean, it's possible that she can get a couple days off work and then just come out of nowhere and completely start destroying us. But she's definitely someone I want to sit with. I think it's also possible that I might want to sit with, I haven't really decided yet if I want to sit with someone from my original tribe or from the other tribe. It's really going to depend on the relationships that I build. Because if I sit with someone from the original water tribe, all the water members may vote them. Or, if I sit with someone from the fire tribe, on the other hand, they may choose which one they like more out of the two of us. It's something I'm still trying to figure out, but I'm 100% locked in on taking Jenna at the moment.
All right. The other facet of getting to the end, and you said you're going to do whatever it takes. Are you willing? And there's a common trope in Survivor lore that you have to win. In order to win, you have to lie, cheat, and steal. Now, if you watch Survivor, there has been 40 seasons, 38 winners, 40 different gameplays to get to the win. Lying and cheating and stealing have definitely been a way that winners have won, but there's winners of all type. Are you someone who's willing to lie, cheat, and steal knowing it's a game? Or do you want to keep some in-game integrity?
I definitely want to have some integrity for sure. I don't want to be known as someone who backstabs everybody or who just lies to everyone's faces. I'm trying to stay aware of the things I say. I haven't told anybody a blatant lie necessarily. I've said, hey, you know, I want to work with you. I want to work with you, which are true statements. But at the end of the day, I'm only going to be able to work with one of those people. And so it's trying to figure out how to build relationships and how to establish alliances without necessarily destroying the relationships as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The end game is huge. This idea of trust is so pertinent in a game like Survivor because you don't want to have too much of it and you don't want to have too little. Uh, we kind of already talked about who your allies were when we had that kind of opening question. Who would you say you trust the most? This can just be a one word answer, and then I can continue the question.
As of right now, Wyatt for sure.
Okay, so if Wyatt is the person you trust the most, where is he on this level of trust? 100%, we're going to say is I will never vote for them. I know that they have my back, and I know that they will never backstab me. This kind of trust is like if you played a game with a family member almost, but it's possible. When I've done simulations, I actually got to that kind of trust with the allies I made. Is Wyatt 100%? Or is he your number one ally who's at a 30 because you're playing the game very cautiously and paranoid or whatever? So where is that trust with your number one ally? What's the percentage you would say?
I would say I definitely trust him the most. I would say maybe out of 50% in the sense that I trust that he's always going to vote with me. I'm pretty sure that he's never going to vote against me unless, maybe down the line something crazy happens. But the only thing that worries me about him is he is a very emotional player. Um, he constantly wants to make moves based on, hey, I think Scott's mad at me, so I want to get him gone immediately. Um, and recently, he's kind of had a taste off the villain plate, and after he's kind of tasted that and said, I really like this, and now he's eating a buffet off the villain's table, and he's embraced this title as a villain. He's said it straight to my face, dude, I'm a villain, and I'm about to ruin some people's games. And so that's scary to me. I don't know how smart it is to work with someone who wants to destroy everyone's games. But it's also at the same time maybe something good, because there's no blood on my hands if Wyatt's tearing everybody up. So kind of going back to your other question, he may be someone I want to sit with at the end as well, because if everybody dislikes Wyatt and everybody knows that Jenna didn't play a great game, then there's only one guy left sitting up there. And, that's something I'm definitely thinking about.
So you the the two ideas of what's good and what's bad about working with Wyatt. It's bad because it's chaos, and chaos is uncertain and you can't predict it, and so that's just what's bad. But what's good is that he might be taking the blood for you. Do you think that people are going to view blood spilt on someone else's hand as good gameplay? Is Wyatt a potential threat, or do you think he's going to make people so mad because he's a self-proclaimed villain that people don't care about his game? They're just upset at him.
I think it definitely depends on the kind of jury we have and how dirty Wyatt plays. If Wyatt is dirty, but he's also very strategic and he's making moves that really help him win the game, then I think the jury can respect that. But if he is straight up screwing people over and, you know, making people mad, I don't think they're going to vote for him. And he's even told me things like he swore on his little sister, and he says he doesn't have a little sister, which to me, that's kind of like, I don't know if I'd ever do that. That's a little too far, but more power to you. If that's a way you get trust built, that's your way of getting it. But
He's either building himself as a threat to you or as a shield for you, and I guess you won't know until the game continues. I'm winding down on questions. Before I start throwing my last question or two at you, do you have anything that you want to talk about that I might be able to think of questions for? Um,
I don't think so. The only thing I would wanted to talk about was Wyatt, and I kind of got to touch on that. So
all right, yeah. If there's anything else about Wyatt that comes up before I finish, then you can definitely talk about it. The last things I kind of want to throw at you, these are thought provoking. I get to know more of your strategy behind it. The first thing is, if you were to go home tonight, whether it was at the first or second tribal, now that you know that there's two, would you feel like you played a good game, or would you feel unfulfilled and unsatisfied?
um, I would feel that I played a good beginning game. I'm definitely trying to play a game that picks up over time. So I'd be a little disappointed if I got voted out tonight, because I would say that my game didn't get to build full steam ahead. And so I would definitely be disappointed. But at the same time, I've built a lot of relationships. A lot of people talk to me daily, even just not about gameplay. So I'd feel in that sense fulfilled, but gameplay sense, obviously nobody wants to go home.
Very fair. The last thing that I've asked everybody, just because there is an imminent potential jury coming up, there's also a challenge today, and now you know that there's a double tribal. How do you survive to tomorrow? What is the path of least resistance for you moving ahead today?
To me, it's finding out who everybody wants gone and making sure it's not me. From the conversations I've had, there are two sides, and most everybody agrees on one person on both sides. Um, my original fire tribe, they're thinking AB or Scott. I've talked to Scott and Aiden, and they're thinking somebody like Wyatt. I don't think Wyatt's going home, because Wyatt is going to stir up some chaos throughout the day, from what I understand. But neither side seems to mention me. Both sides say that they want to take me far. Aiden's told me that Scott wants to take me far, and then Wyatt's told me that he wants to take me far. Aiden's told me he wants to take me far. Maybe they're all screwing me over. I don't know, but it's a good situation to be in when everybody's saying, "Hey, you're my guy."
Awesome. Well, I appreciate, first of all, you being on this Zoom to do a confessional thing. That's 6 out of the 10 people. Um, I think that's awesome. I really wanted to offer it up because I know when I did Snapchat Survivor, this wasn't something that was given as an option, and I think it's really good for someone who's has an overview of the game to throw questions at someone who's in the game with their limited knowledge. And I don't reveal anything. I don't give you any advice. I'm just here to ask questions, and I really appreciate it. And secondly, huge thank you for even wanting to play this game and putting in time of your day. I know that when I played, I was like dismissing other things because I wanted to play the game. And it's one thing to balance your life in a game like this where you need to be social. And so I just appreciate you playing it all. Um, that is huge. Yeah. If you have anything else to say before we finish up, I'd love to make time because I don't have anybody else before the challenge. But yeah, otherwise we can be good.
Yeah, this has been awesome. I like doing these a lot more than filming myself in my bedroom because that's definitely a little bit more awkward for me.
Yeah.
And I've had to do a couple double, triple takes. And it's also good to, just have you ask a bunch of questions because
Yeah, and I enjoy it because I'm a huge Survivor fan. I mean, that's why I decided to host this in the first place. So I love just hearing what everyone has to say, and it's cool. You and I are the same age. We're both 20, but like I get to interview Wyatt, who's 15. I get to interview Hunter, who's 15. I get to interview Scott, who's 16. Like there's people who are years younger than me, and people who are my own age who are playing all the same game, and it's just cool for me as a fan to see other people who are around my age range all into this. And so it's just fun for me. And if I can do more of these, I will. I would love to. That's why I only committed to the merge ones because I don't want to overbook myself. I don't want this to be something that starts stressing me out too much. But I've been telling everybody, obviously, granted that you make it there, final 7, final 6, final 5, I might be offering it when there's less people, so the commitment is lower for me because I want to hear what people have to say. But I wish it was something that I could commit 100% to. If this was something I was getting paid for, absolutely, I'd offer these every day. But I'm not. It's just for fun. And so yeah, I'm getting the recording now.